Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioners. First Assistant Chief Choi, Madam Secretary, Inspector General Matthew Barragan, Mr. City Attorney Carlos de la Guerra, and members of the public. Today is Tuesday, November 4, 2025. It is 9:30 in the morning. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect Commissioners Sanchez Gordon, Shields, Garcia, and Scobin are present, and we have a quorum. Madam President.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending this morning. All public comment will be heard during item 2 on the agenda. We will dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will be given 1 additional minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in the public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak on any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you are free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, during directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinions shall be deemed off topic, and your public comment period will be concluded. Message for those attending in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at the meetings, hear the presentation and dialogue in real time, and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there is a need for the board to carry out the public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided only 1 warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendings must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. With that, we will move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief Choi.
Thank you, and good morning, President Sanchez Gordon, Commissioners, Inspector General Barragan, City Attorney De La Guerra, and Executive Director Mr. Sibley. Today, I'll be covering key events from the past week, sharing our latest crime trends, and providing an update on our staffing levels. I'm going to start with an officer-involved shooting. So on November 2nd, at approximately 02:03 hours, Devonshire patrol officers responded to a radio call of a 415 fight at 8933 Balcom Avenue. The comments of the call indicated that the person reporting heard his neighbors fighting and a female crying. Upon officers' arrival, they observed the suspect, later identified as Luis Jordan Cortez, in the front yard of the residence, armed with a handgun and holding a female victim hostage. This victim was later identified as his girlfriend. The officers gave multiple commands to Cortez to drop the handgun. He failed to comply and continued to struggle with the victim while still armed with the gun, and this is when the officer-involved shooting occurred. During the incident, Cortez fired 1 round from his handgun at the victim. Cortez was struck by gunfire but did not immediately surrender. He remained in the front yard of the residence until officers negotiated his surrender, and then we were able to take him into custody without further uses of force. Cortez was transported by rescue ambulance to a local hospital where he was treated and admitted for his injury. The firearm possessed by Cortez was recovered at scene and booked as evidence. No officers or other community members were injured as a result of this incident, and Force Investigation Division investigators responded to the scene and are investigating this OIS. And then moving on, as we all know, on Saturday, November 1st, the Los Angeles Dodgers clinched the World Series title in Toronto. Congratulations to the Dodgers. But in anticipation of this potential citywide celebrations, we deployed units strategically throughout the city and continuously monitored activity as Game 7 progressed. By approximately 17:30 hours, the city was placed on full tactical alert status. This activation allows the department to retain daytime resources on duty and limits field response to high priority calls for service, ensuring that sufficient personnel remain available to address any emerging incidents related to the event. Due to overcrowding, the Los Angeles Fire Department temporarily shut down several bars that had reached capacity limits. When the Dodgers secured the championship at the end of the game, large crowds spilled onto the streets from the bars in nearby neighborhoods to celebrate. And while many were peaceful, several groups became unruly and began vandalizing city buses and Waymo vehicles, discharging fireworks, and engaging in street takeovers while conducting dangerous maneuvers at various intersections. As skirmish lines were established to disperse these crowds, officers were met with aggressive behavior, including objects being thrown at them. Due to the escalating violence, the use of less lethal munitions and chemical agents was authorized. Order was fully restored in the downtown area by approximately 3 o'clock in the morning. In total, there were 7 arrests made for various offenses, 3 for vandalism, 1 for failure to disperse, 1 for battery on a police officer, 1 for striking a police source, and 1 for possession of illegal fireworks. All of these uses of force were documented and will be investigated in accordance with department policy. And then, as we know, yesterday, November 3rd, to culminate their incredible championship win, the Los Angeles Dodgers celebrated with a parade and a special event at the stadium. The LAPD dedicated more than 800 personnel to ensure that every fan who came out to celebrate could do so safely and enjoyably. Although we did have a few arrests, I'm pleased to report that the event concluded without any significant incidents, a true testament to the planning, coordination, and professionalism by everyone involved. We had a significant robbery arrest this last week as well. So over the past several weeks, our Robbery Homicide Division, in collaboration with Metropolitan Division's B Platoon, has been investigating a violent robbery crew responsible for a string of armed robberies across Los Angeles. Based on their joint investigation, this crew is believed to be responsible for 1 burglary and between 15 to 20 robberies throughout the city. On October 29th, Metropolitan Division's B Platoon was responding to assist Devonshire Division regarding these suspects. However, prior to getting there, the suspects committed an armed robbery in a shopping center at Corbin and Rinaldi, taking a $250,000 watch and a tennis bracelet from a victim. And within minutes and before the units could locate the suspects, they struck again, this time at 6026 Winsett in North Hollywood, where a Rolex watch was taken. B Platoon immediately coordinated with our Gang and Narcotics Division, who observed these suspects switch vehicles at a residence in 77th Division. The vehicle was later located in a downtown jewelry district where suspects were seen entering multiple jewelry stores. When all suspects re-entered their vehicle and a traffic stop was attempted, a pursuit ensued. Before entering the freeway, the suspects forced a driver out of what appeared to be a rideshare vehicle at gunpoint. Thankfully, the driver was unharmed and was later able to assist detectives in identifying the suspects. During the pursuit, officers observed a handgun being thrown from the suspect vehicle. The pursuit continued into the city of Compton, terminating in the area of 700 West Laurel Street, and the suspects fled on foot. Officers recovered 4 firearms from that vehicle. Due to the information obtained from the scene, it was believed the suspects were in a nearby apartment. A SWAT screen down was conducted and advised officers to conduct a tactical discharge at a sliding glass door with a 40 millimeter less lethal. Upon the discharge, 4 suspects immediately exited the location and were quickly surrounded by a large group of individuals from the area, allowing them to flee into another awaiting vehicle. At that point, a second pursuit ensued and terminated in the city of Los Angeles in Nickerson Gardens. The front passenger was immediately taken into custody, but the remaining 3 suspects fled into a nearby unit, prompting a SWAT response and barricaded suspects. Eventually, all 3 surrendered without further incident. In total, 4 suspects were arrested, 7 handguns were recovered, and 15 counts of robbery were filed against these suspects on October 30th. I want to congratulate these personnel for doing such great work and taking dangerous suspects off the streets. And then moving on to crime. For the 4-week period ending November 1st, overall crime in the city is down 5.4%. Persons crimes are essentially flat, down less than 1%, while property crimes are down 7%. Homicides continue to trend down with a 22% reduction year-to-date compared to last year, which equates to 55 fewer homicide victims. Citywide, victims shot are also down 8.6% for the year, or 74 fewer victims shot. Aggravated assaults showed a slight increase last 4 weeks, up about 3.3%. Robberies are down citywide 4.5%, and burglaries are down 3.2% citywide, and motor vehicle thefts rose by about 1%. Our personal strength as of November 1st for sworn personnel, it's 8,646. Our civilian personnel staffing is at 2,537, and our reserve officers are at 345. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Chief. Let's take some questions from our commissioners. Commissioner Shields?
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to commend the officers who conducted the significant robbery arrests and their investigation. Great work by them. With regards to some of the discussions that you had relating to the Dodgers celebration, you mentioned that, less lethal ammunition was authorized. Can you describe a little bit about, when that type of authorization is given in connection with crowd control, what does that mean? And how is it used for purposes of, in a crowd control setting?
Sure. So, our less lethal munitions, it doesn't matter if you're in crowd control or you're in an individual setting with one suspect, the threshold to use it remains the same. And that's, there has to be a threat of injury or jeopardize safety of the officer or another individual. And that remains the same again, whether you're in a crowd control situation or an individual encounter. These less lethal munitions are target specific. They are not meant to randomly shoot into a group to get them to disperse. These less lethal munitions are range specific as well as target specific. Now, chemical agents are different than that. That goes into a group to disperse the group. I hope that answers your questions.
Yes, it does. And just, you mentioned that there were, uses of force that were documented and will be investigated. And I know that there were allegations that a journalist was impacted or shot by one of these less lethal. Is that also under investigation, and was that documented?
Yes, I'm familiar with that particular incident, and that is documented and being investigated.
And so any kind of, there really shouldn't be officers like shooting into a crowd for purposes of disbursement. That's not the proper use of less lethal. And so that would be documented and evaluated whether or not there was any type of threat to an officer or another individual to justify it. Is that?
Yes, all those uses of less lethal munitions will be investigated.
Thank you. We've also seen some footage about, the use of our mounted platoon, and I understand the importance of the mounted platoon in these situations. But there are sometimes you see certain concerning like uses of force from the mounted position. Are those also being investigated and documented? And are other police departments also using mounted police for this type of purpose and crowd control purposes, to the extent that you know?
To both those questions, the answer is yes. So I'm also familiar with that particular video that's floating around. That incident is documented and being investigated, and other agencies have been known to use horses during crowd control situations.
Can you talk a little bit about, what, I understand that as providing a little bit more distance from other officers, like on the, to be able to provide a little bit more distance so there's less use of force by officers on the ground. Is that
Correct.
generally
It-
what's
it-
done?
It also adds resources to the ground. Sometimes we won't have enough to cover, curb to curb or wall to wall an entire street, but there's a variety of different uses for our mounted unit officers to help disperse or move a group back. And so we use them as a tool or when the time is appropriate.
There's one other area that I've seen certain social media coverage about relating to a dash cam video of a police pursuit that ended in the loss of life being shared. Is that also being investigated by the department?
Yes, that was a major incident collision investigation team call out, and that is being investigated.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner Shields. Commissioner Fabian Garcia?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, and thank you, Chief. Similar set of questions, but more specifically regarding the mountain unit. Can you share a little bit about what the process is for determining and authorizing the use of the mountain unit to push the crowd, and the escalation of that in terms of using additional tools that the officer would have on a crowd?
If I understand your question correctly, well, let me just start. So the mounted unit is just another tool, just like a mobile field force, any other resources that would use during crowd control situations. They've always been deployed. We used them in 2020. We used them in June, and now we're using them in certain situations like this. Sometimes they will be used just to push the crowd, meaning the horse will walk right. If somebody's refusing to disperse after a lawful dispersal order has been given, the horse will walk right. The horses will, shoulder to shoulder walk and push a crowd back physically with the body of the horse, the front of the horse. Other times they will just, their presence will cause the group to move further back where there's no contact necessary. So it really depends on the actions of the crowd. The authorization to use them, the horses are already deployed, pre-planned at these events. The incident commander will know when they're being deployed to move a crowd, but the authorization, I would say it doesn't take specific authorization for them to take action. If they need resources on a line to move a crowd and the horses are there, they will move up. Now, an incident commander can obviously cancel their use, just like they can stop any mobile field force from moving a crowd.
And at what point, so the second part of the question was, at what point would you, or can you share, at what point can officers actually use a baton type?
It's still considered an intermediate force, so same threshold when there's a threat to safety or danger or injury to an individual or an officer.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Scobin?
Yes, thank you, and thank you for being here. Agree, go Dodgers. You had mentioned that chemical agents were used after the Dodgers won. My question is, prior to these incidents, my understanding is that it's been decades since we've used these agents to disperse crowd. If that's correct, but my question is has there been a sudden change in decades-old practice? And should we expect this more moving forward?
I don't want to anticipate if we can expect it more moving forward, but you're correct. Prior to June of this year, we had not used chemical agents in a crowd control situation as far as I can remember. It was proven to be effective in June in very unique circumstances where certain people were taking barricaded positions with various items that were available on the street and launching fireworks at our officers, dangerous fireworks. And what we found is that when you deploy gas at the appropriate time, We don't have to use less lethal munitions. We don't have to use batons. We're not in close contact. And in this particular case, the use of gas on Saturday night was effective in moving or dispersing a group without officers having to physically engage with anybody.
Thank you. Last week, Chief, I raised concern about a video showing officers shooting projectiles at members of the media. The person filming it vocalized understanding the current injunction. Did you happen to see that video?
I did see the video, yes.
And is that under investigation?
Yes, that is documented and that is being investigated.
Thank you. I also have some questions regarding Leary's. Does the chief receive a 72-hour briefing on these Leary's to better understand the serious incidents from the latest protests so he can report them to the commission?
Yes, he does.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scobin. Chief Choi, I just want to congratulate everyone in our city. The world is watching us. And it's been a rough year. We started off in January with the fires, and we saw so much compassion from our city to those affected by the fire. And we moved forward to June when the city was sieged by not only the Army but also ICE, and we again saw compassion and resistance and now with the win of the Los Angeles Dodgers, I'm happy to hear that the city was safe, and we had thousands and thousands of people out in the city with minimal, as you said, disruption. I know that we were all in contact and making sure that our city was safe, and I want to thank your leadership for that, and also the city of LA. We've gone through a lot, but I think our city is strong, it's resilient, and we continue to move forward, and this year will end on a positive note, and I thank you again, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to the report of the Inspector General. Mr. Barragan?
Good morning. I have several items to share since last month's report. First, I recently returned from Minneapolis, Minnesota, where last week I attended the annual National Association of Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, or NACOL conference. At the conference, I attended multiple panels and engaged in discussions on pressing issues, as well as connected with numerous conference attendees. The conference brought together oversight professionals, community advocates, law enforcement, leaders, policymakers, and scholars from across the country. In addition, I attended several community meetings, including the Urban League's The State of Black Los Angeles. The event brought together leaders, advocates for an honest discussion about the state of racial progress in our region. I also attended a joint training day between my office's Use of Force section and the department's Force Investigations Division. I will receive an update later this week from the department on their internal task force regarding its efforts to investigate and assess allegations of misconduct and uses of force related to the ICE protests. The OIG's audit section has met with the department to discuss OIG findings and recommendations on 2 projects. The first is a review of the department's controls over assessing, accessing, and sharing confidential information in sexual assault investigations. The second pertains to a broad review of the department's specialized SWAT training. Also, as part of our review of the department's evidence and property room protocols, the project lead observed overnight courier unit activities regarding the collection and movement of narcotic evidence from community police stations to the LAPD lab for testing. These observations will allow staff to make their recommendations based on firsthand experience. Audit section staff also observed RIPA CompStat meetings to ensure that the department is addressing any issues identified with traffic and pedestrian stops. The Use of Force section continues to track Force Investigations Division's assessment of the delayed interview pilot program. The 6-month pilot period concluded on October 23rd, and the department plans to report back to the Police Commission later this month on the program's status and impact. In addition, the Use of Force section continues to participate in monthly Tactics Training Review Committee meetings and that later this month, Use of Force Section will observe and participate in firearms training to further understand the department's firearms training program. This effort is part of the office's ongoing commitment to ensuring staff maintain a thorough understanding of the department's training standards and curriculum, and that the OIG's work consistently reflects current standards and practices. Last, my office's community relations team continues to respond to public inquiries and help manage OIG's social media accounts and public website, and assist with organizing community outreach activities. This concludes my report.
We now move on to public comment period. We have 45 minutes on all items. Comment will alternate between one person in the room and one person on Zoom during this period of item 2. Madam Secretary?
Okay, the first person I'm going to call up is Virgil Jones and Veronica Jones.
Good morning to the Police Board of Commissioners. I'm Virgil Jones. It's my daughter, Veronica Jones. We here, her son was in a shooting last year, November 26th, with LAPD having basically some mental issues and stuff. But however, we're basically here to try to retrieve some property that we were told that we will receive. It will be released in 1 year. I want to thank Sergeant Potter, LAPD, the liaison, was communicating everything with us from the beginning. And if I can move backwards, I wasn't really happy with when the incident was. It was a high-speed chase or whatever. I wasn't really happy when I got to the scene that my wife was shot, and my granddaughter and my daughter, 13-year-old, how the officers just snatched them up and handcuffed them. And the media put out, it was 3 women, they innocent bystanders. My wife was shot in the process in her left arm. And I got to the scene, and they took over an hour and something to even let me get in there to comfort my daughter and my granddaughter. While, however, my wife was being transported to Cedars-Sinai and my son, and I asked numerous times, several times, where's my son? What hospital did he go to? And, oh, we'll find out. I need to talk to this detective. I need to talk to this detective. Mind you, it took me 40 minutes to get there, and I really had to use a restroom really bad. I'm sitting out there an additional hour waiting to get there to comfort them two while my son was being transferred to Cedars-Sinai as well. And they kept telling me, I'll let you know, I need to talk to this detective will let you know. It took them about an hour and something before I could get over there and comfort. My daughter was in blood. I'm sorry. And that was November 26th. They finally let me get there with an hour and like 20 minutes, and I had all these reporters like, oh, he's a father. They're trying to get a story out of me. I didn't know anything hardly, but high-speed chase. However, Sergeant Potter was, again, instrumental in liaisoning every step of the way from the hospital and telling me all the updates on what was going on in surgery, etc. And I thank her for that. And then we just wanted to retrieve his property. We couldn't go in, none that night, to get anything. His vehicle was in the back of the apartment. It was stunning to me. His wallet, they searched it, had a search warrant thing. The next morning we found that his wallet was sitting in the vehicle. But his clothing was bloodied up, and she returned. And from I have December 9th, she coordinated with me and brought to my house the $50. She said was in his pocket, found in his pocket, and his key fob. And I thanked her for that. And the only thing left was 2 cell phones. And she kept telling me they're under investigation, they're keeping the phones, and they would have to keep them up to a year. I have a text message from her April 3rd. She told me in the text message, I don't know if I should read it, but she was basically saying that I talked to the detectives and they said they're going to release your property to you for your son. Then she said, oh, however, I just received an email in that same text message saying detectives supervisor said, no, you can't give it to him. So I got happy and I was sad at the same time. I'm like happy she's batting for me and speaking for me so we can receive his property. And it's crazy when someone go to jail, they book the property, and when they release, they get their property. I guess it's different in this here thing, but I'm told a year. However, last week we had a conversation over the phone, and she's telling me that they're saying no, you won't be able to get the phones in a year. The year will be coming up November 27th when he passed away. And that's all we want is his property. That's the only thing left. It's crazy, amazing. You leave a wallet in the car, but in his possession was key fob and $50. My son used to keep money in his pocket. I could believe that it was more than $50. Why would you leave the wallet? That's property too in the car after you search it. That should have been booked too. So we're here to receive his property, and like I said, we were told a year we will receive it, and verbally over the phone, just I think last week, Sergeant Potter, she can witness and attest to it that she said they're not going to give it to you in a year. They can take up to 22 years. It's something about a policy. But this board here that you have, thank you for your listening ears, can go and talk to the chief and the back room, and you guys are documenting everything we're saying. This is what I'm told. And the chief make exceptions, say, you know what, why don't you just give them their phones? That's all that's left. This is his property. We keep saying, they keep saying it's under investigation. Okay, you're investigating officers and they're shooting. I get that. It's part of your job. Me personally, I think it was overkill, the shootings. And my daughter gonna explain more about that, but all I'm here is for his property. He has 2 cell phones, and it would be a year, which I was told initially, waiting faithfully for this year. Just get his property. I lost 6 people last year. I lost an aunt, 2 first cousins, a niece with a heart attack, my mother on August 3rd, and November 27th, my son. 6 people, and we're still grieving. My son was a good kid. He probably had a meltdown, and I'm not saying anything he did was wrong, but he's not going to be arrested. He's not here to be arrested. All we want is his property. If you find mercy, sympathy, to just give me, it'll make my day if you gave us his cell phones, and that'll be a part of us. And these are pictures of him. He was an entrepreneur. He had a job. He worked. He was a basketball coach. They kept the legacy going for 3 years and named it after him. It's called now Born Beast Academy Free Game. He was coaching kids and mentoring to kids, all while he was hurting inside with some street terms. Be quiet, baby mama drama stuff. But all we want is his cell phones. If you guys can find it in your heart to talk to the chief of the police, and I know his policies in place, I respect that, but that's all we want, and I don't see no problem of you guys releasing his property, which that's the only thing left. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. We're going to have an officer assist you. We'll hear from your daughter as well.
Good morning to the board. My name is Veronica Jones. My brother is Andre Jones. Last year on November 26th, there was a call that came in. I watched you guys YouTube video of everything that transpired, a call that came in of assault with a deadly weapon of a young black man that was armed. We still don't know if that was true or not. I did see the traffic stop that took place, and I also seen where the high-speed chase transpired as well. The high-speed chase ended at my mother and my father's house. I was at work. My 13-year-old daughter was with my mom. She texted me and told me what was going on. I had to leave work. By the time I got there, 4 minutes later, my brother was shot down to death. Upon receiving the autopsy report, my brother was shot 26 times. There was 23 bullets that went inside our neighbor's house. My daughter was 13, standing on the porch in the walkway as she experienced this. Your officers pulled up, and immediately they just started shooting. And I understand that my brother fired first. I get it, but I also know there's protocol in regards to shooting. I don't know how many times they teach them to train in the police academy, but I do feel like it was overkill. I also feel like the way that your officers carried themselves that day was very unprofessional. That day, when my brother dropped to the ground, they were still shooting. Even when he dropped his firearm, they were still shooting. He was wiggling on the ground, gasping for air, while blood was gushing out his mouth, and all I can do was stand on top of him and hold his head up, because that's all I know to do. And all I can tell him repeatedly is, I love him, you're gonna be okay. In the midst of that, my mom was shot in the process. And again, I don't know what you guys teach the police in the police academy, but their target game that day was not okay. There could have been more people out there that could have been shot. My daughter standing on the porch could have been shot. And there's nothing that nobody could have told me that day. So I say that to say this. I do feel like there was overkill that day. You have to understand that I'm not a superhero, but if I didn't get there in time, I probably would have been burying my mom and my brother that day. And that's a hard pill to swallow. My daughter has been diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Some nights she can't sleep. Some nights she has flashbacks. Me, myself, I have the same thing. And all I can see is your officers pulling up and firing shots. We have to live with this every day. And like I said, I understand that my brother was wrong because he fired first, so I get it. I understand it. But the way things were handled were very unprofessional. To pull my daughter off the porch where she wasn't harming anybody and to place a 13-year-old girl in handcuffs, and you have the news reporters saying, oh, there's a woman on the porch. This is a child now that looked to her uncle as her father because her father is incarcerated for a life sentence that she will never get to see. So the father figure that she did have is now gone. And now I have to live with that because nobody can take her to the father-daughter dance anymore. He can't take her to cheer practice. He can't take her to get her hair done or pick her up from school when I need him to. He's gone now. And so when my daughter lashes out, I have to be able to hold her and get her to understand that he's in a better place. That day when we were detained, we kept asking for the sergeant, the supervisors. Your officers ignored us completely. My mom was shot in her arm. They dragged her away from my brother's body. And my mom has sciatic nerve. She has COPD. She has 2 stents in her heart. And I kept saying she has arthritis in her left hip. She cannot run. Where do you guys think she's gonna go? She's shot. I'm asking them repeatedly on video to just sit her down. They refused to sit her down. And in fact, they handcuffed her arm behind her back as she was shot. Again, I don't know if that's protocol, but I feel like that was done very incorrectly. And when asking the officers, was my brother okay, the officers told me, if there's not a white sheet over your brother, then your brother is still alive. It kind of made me feel good, but it didn't. Because as my brother and my mom were transported to the hospital, me and my daughter had to sit on the curb in handcuffs for 3 to 4 hours because your sergeant was on his way and couldn't come talk to us. So there were 2 officers monitoring us, making sure that we didn't leave. And me and my daughter are literally, I'm covered in blood, sitting on a hard curb. I can't do anything. And then when I asked to leave, you guys told me I couldn't, as if I was a suspect. And upon when we did get to leave, I had to rush to the hospital to go to the back to see my mom in pain, bleeding. And my brother, we're told, oh, he's in another tower of the hospital. We don't know the situation yet. Nobody's telling us anything. They wasn't giving us updates or anything. So I come here today to be a voice for my brother. Me and my brother were 1 year apart. He was 37 when he passed away. I turned 37 this year. Me and my brother were like twins. We grew up together. And it will never bring him back what transpired. Yes, he may have initiated it, but there were things that could have been done instead of just shooting in a crowd like that. What if there were multiple people out there you guys would have just shot, and then there would have been multiple innocent bystanders that would have been killed because your officers responded recklessly? At the end of the day, we have to live with this. And I just, like my father spoke on, we just want his property. We were told that this were an investigation. Okay, we understand it. But if it's an investigation in regards to him, he's deceased. He can't be prosecuted. What is the sense of holding his property? It makes no sense whatsoever. And then you're telling us it can take up to 22 years to release the things that belong to him. That makes absolutely no sense. And I know you guys understand that. All we want is what belongs to him. We were able to retrieve his car, his clothes, his jewelry, all we want is his phones. That's it. It will fill the void that we have a little bit, but that's all that we're asking for. So today I'm asking the board if you guys can look into my brother's situation that happened November 26th of last year, 2024. He was pronounced deceased November 27th of 2024. This year will be Thanksgiving. Imagine us celebrating Thanksgiving, but we have to grieve my brother. Imagine us having to go to the cemetery to grieve my brother on Thanksgiving. What's thankful about that? It's not. So all I ask is that you guys find it in your heart, if you have a heart, to just give us what belongs to him so we can just move on with our life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, the officer is there who's going to assist you. And please accept our condolences for all your loss. Madam Secretary? Madam Secretary, start the 45-minute time, please.
The next speaker, please, is Tron San Hua.
Seriously, fuck you, Teresa. The only condolences only when they're standing there weeping in front of you. Heartless. Ugh.
Thank you.
You're apologizing for the people who you fucking covered for.
Good morning, Police Chief, and good morning, everybody in this room. I say again, last week, 2 weeks ago, I say I want the airway PD and put my name on top of this building. It's Chan Ha. It's good for America and good for all around the world. It seriously, it is true. I'm not telling. Is everybody here a liar? No, I don't. It is very seriously. And also, 2 weeks ago, I post on Facebook. I say, God choose me is a lot better than Donald Trump. And I protect the U.S. government, and I protect all people living in United States of America and all human rights around the world. So they immediately take off my Facebook. I don't have it for 2 days. They send it back. They say, oh, yeah, you okay. So, I mean, I'm not a liar to everybody. I'm here protect America and I protect the world, the whole world. So I need everybody in this room, and you have to help me and share is all my information around the world for everybody in America, and we all good. We all happy. Is America good for all of us, not me? Okay, so it's like I say, I'm a lot better than the president. So I need to everybody respect me, and we together and work together for good for America. Okay, thank you. So I'm here every week. Thank you very much.
Next on Zoom, we have one.
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
First, I want to say Choi lied during the chief's report. Chief McDonald canceled all 72-hour briefings on the last ICE protest. There was not a 72-hour briefing on people who were injured seriously at these protests. He didn't want to see the videos or required a briefing. So there's that. I want to welcome new Commissioner Jeff Scobin. I encourage you to keep asking questions. It's refreshing for a commissioner to make inquiries, unlike the domesticated commission that T-Fank neutered. Unfortunately, this department is known to cover things up, even abuses against women. Let me highlight Hermain German Hurtado's, also known as Chief 30 by 30, because his goal appears to be to date 30% of the women in this department by 2030. He has even dated an officer's wife he met at a support group compiled of LAPD wives. The husband, LAPD officer, who discovered this affair, reported it to then Captain Hollis, fighting to keep his family intact. Hollis then reported it up the chain of command to Rakunas, who did nothing. Now, the latest complaint of many against Hurtado deals with a captain he dated, but had to be moved in the middle of the night due to their inappropriate relationship, which began at Professional Standards Bureau, where Hurtado was a commander at the time and she was a lieutenant. Commission, that's not all. I now have learned that Hurtado is going around bragging that he will beat this complaint also because she reports to a captain who reports to him. I wonder what kind of glowing remarks her ratings received from him. Well, to Chief 30 by 30, listen up. This time, you don't have Rakunas there to cover your ass. So let's see how that goes. To Chief McDonald, wherever you are, your promotions quite frankly suck. You promoted Choi and Harrelson at the same time, former adjutants to former Chief Moore. Jim, you isolate yourself and take advice from this tainted pool of bad actors. You fired PIO Jennifer Forkish. Why? Because she didn't make you look good enough? You promoted Hurtado, a misogynistic pig who perjured himself, according to a recent LA Times article I read. I suggest everybody look it up. How are you going to make that one look good, Jim? Instead of looking in the mirror, you fired Forkish. You're so isolated, everything has to run through Choi. Your command staff, even up to 3 stars, can't even text you. You're not everything has to go through Choi. Let's just invite former Chief Moore here at the next commission meeting to take questions since his cronies are still running the place. I have more to say, but Chief McDonald.
The next speaker is Amy Miriam Scientology.
Excuse me, before you begin, just a moment. I'd like the adult in the back to please have a seat and stop chasing the kid. Please have a seat. I'd like the lady in the gray hair to please have a seat. And there is another lady in the brown hair with a mask on. Please have a seat. Okay, this is your warning. If you're not seated,
You're wasting time. We don't have a family room. You're wasting time.
It's not in any way disturbing anything. You're disturbing the meeting.
Okay, you are being warned. Those two ladies in the back should be seated. Okay, you may proceed. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. So right now I understand that the public comment timer world record is 17 minutes now. I understand under the law everybody is everybody is afforded 17 minutes from now on. So about the protest that again I will just continue my public comment from a week ago that right now. Whenever a Laker win a game, maybe a Ram win a game, maybe a Dodger win a game, or maybe a high school football win a game, whatever. It's a monthly thing. Whenever any of those events occurred, there will be all of the Waymo vehicles will be damaged. All of the street will be vandalized. All of the intersection freeway entrance will be blocked. This is continue to go to become worse and worse. Right now we are dealing with that once a month, and then mark my word, maybe next year we're gonna dealing with this once a week, because LAPD continue to be soft on crime, soft on looters, and soft on rioters. So when you give them an inch, they're gonna take a foot. When you give them a mile, they're gonna take everything in the United States of America. This is common sense. Talking about the order, I really do not believe that you are actually a former judge, because I am aware that in a judge, there's one judge in the room, there's one deputy sheriff acting as a bailiff in the room, there's only two persons, and then they were able to maintain the law and order in the room. But right now, we have a judge, we have all the commissioner, we have 10, 15 police officers, and then somehow nobody can maintain the law and the order of the room. So I actually invite all of our community services members that we can have a kindergarten basketball game in the commission room. We can have a community soccer game in the room, because obviously our commissioner allows that. I want to play my basketball slam dunk in this commission room, because under the law, everyone is equal. Now, talking about one of the commissioner asking about the protest about the less lethal. Well, the dealing with that is very easy. Go dealing with the protest yourself. When you are in the situation, I see that a situation where like 15, 20 officers are surrounded by hundreds, if not thousands of the protesters. Yes, they have every single right to shoot. They have every single right to deploy their weapons. So I'm aware that when you are surrounded by hundreds of people, do whatever you have to do. Support LAPD.
Next, we have Steve Riley.
Good morning.
Mr. Good, you are being disruptive. This is your first and last warning.
What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you. The United States is a constitutional republic, Christ is king, and all lives matter. Now, I'm sympathetic to any family who lose a loved one in any circumstance, but I don't think it was a proper forum to hear an incident from the point of view of the family. That should be maybe in closed session, or you could do what was done, where you can refer an officer to address the situation, whatever it might be. The fact is, the family even said that the brother or the loved one fired at the officers first. What do you expect the officers to do? There's obviously a lack of knowledge on the part of the public about what shooting policies are, what the training is, and even maybe on behalf of the police commission. When you talked about the mounted units being used in riot control situations or crowd control situations, it's apparent that you don't know much about the subject. This is the problem when you have people who are police commissioners that don't come from the world or have much knowledge of policing. So this is in a sense unbelievable. What you should be doing as a police commission is talking about policies to implement community policing, improving communication, coordination with the public, and yet, and I've spoken about this many times, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. The statistics for crime are not adequate. They're difficult to understand. You don't give raw numbers. The number of arrests you still don't have on your crime stat sheet. So we really need to improve. I want to see the LAPD succeed. I want to see community policing succeed. And I want to see the law enforced. I'm going to recommend an article, Thought Prison, The Fundamental Nature of Political Correctness by Bruce G. Charlton. That's Charlton. And why do I recommend it for everyone to read, especially police commissioners? Political correctness has really infiltrated the police commission. It's obvious. You've become more concerned about identity politics and political and ideological matters than policing and community policing and actually doing the job. God bless the LAPD. And God save Los Angeles. Thank you.
The next speaker, Jessica Ancona Herman.
So I'd like to speak about the illegal security for infrastructure against Americans. Why is unlawful entry by federal entities being disrupted by illegal immigrants? The case number is 223 CV 02427 KKJPR for the record. It highlights, matter of fact, let me read into the record. It highlights rookie attorney over there, Carlos. Listen. The entire episode, including the mayor gesturing in plaintiff's direction, the felon gang member then pointing at the plaintiff, walking up to the plaintiff and telling her to stop filming the mayor, and identifying himself as an El Monte Flores gang member, was all captured by plaintiff in her via cell phone video and audio. Jackass. Fearing for her and her husband's safety because of notorious Florida street gang. Now, does this sound familiar, what happened in Cudahy? When the Cudahy vice mayor was protecting, not herself, wasn't protecting Americans, wasn't protecting the interests of our goddamn police department. She was telling the world the bitch gangbanger wants Flores 13 to step in and intimidate and retaliate against our law enforcement. Now, whether you care about this, I'm demanding an investigation on the mayor of El Monte, Jessica Ancona. Matter of fact, the FBI is going to investigate this matter under Bondi, Donald J. Trump, and the administration of the FBI in Washington. Carlos, you dickhead. Because I want you to know the truth. Everyone has a right to due process. Every American, every immigrant has a right, but through due process, Carlos. 42 U.S.C. 1983 politely, fuck you. I will exercise under the color of authority under 242, 245, 18 U.S.C. section, motherfucker, that I am God. And God condemns corruption. God hates corruption. God hates liars like you, motherfucker. That's why the first storm came in a deluge of water for 40 days and for 40 nights to prevent corruption. Fuck you. Thank you. We love you, Mr. Attorney. This is for the record.
The next speaker is Jonathan Foster.
There you go. Thank you.
Hi, Jonathan Foster, starting with this one.
We have these closed sessions, and during the closed sessions, there's no secret that we adjudicate cases.
And I'd still like to hold my sober off his dead party before he's dead. So, the non-elected shaping policy, dangerous secret government, dark government, Jeff Scobin. Hi, Jeff. The 1989 Graham versus O'Connor Supreme Court decision rests on a, quote, reasonable officer, end quote, reasonable officer. Can you define a reasonable officer for me? Yeah, you need to define a reasonable officer. I asked everyone here that's a commissioner this question. No one, not even the text of the Supreme Court, is correct, accurate, or just in its definition that it allows murder and has not defined reasonable. It turns out that the only thing in your background I read on the mayor's nomination declaration is community boards. You don't have experience adjudicating police cases. You're not a lawyer. You served on youth boards in the Chamber of Commerce in the Valley, a busybody in the community. You have zero experience in adjudicating cases, not much training, and your situation is like George H.W. Bush was president, and then his son George W. Bush, Whack Job Bush, became president. Now your dad was a commissioner. I realize his service was worthless. That's not a personal insult. I'm just telling you the truth. It's worthless, and yours will also be worthless. I know you're not gonna stop the murder and the killing. Your dad didn't. That's worthless. Soberoff is worthless. Caruso is worthless. The 8 last commissioners are worthless. The 5 chiefs, past chiefs, worthless. If you, Jeff, change the city charter, do you know you will end up dead? Or like Jennifer Forkish? I'm telling you what will happen to you. It's not me. Go ahead and try. But I know you want to live. You won't change it. The commission is a liar. Unjust operation. Rasha air slapped me, right? I know why she did that. I called Eric the toilet. I called him, and he's part of the LA Jewish Federation, the ADL, the APAC. He hates Jesus. Jeff, do you know Eric the toilet? Rasha, I bet you did meet him. Rasha, I will just lie to you like it's okay that they lied to me about the chief. It's just okay to lie for the police and the toilet mayor to lie to me. Have you ever donated to any of those organizations, or will you be donating to those organizations? And another one that I see is the influence over the LAPD to squash freedom of speech on campus. So if you can define reasonable officer for me.
The next speaker, Laura Anderson.
Yeah, there's people on Zoom, and they've been waiting a lot longer than me. So I'm here to talk about the crimes of Scientology and the LAPD's infiltration. We had a protest they had a permit for Halloween. Completely, again, a recruitment tactic, as I've told you guys multiple times. Hopefully some of you have read the book, Child X, because then you'll know the actual infiltration in your system. They have a permit. They closed the sidewalk off. Out of LA came. They wouldn't open it up. We called the police. The police came, saw the permit. They had no reason to have that sidewalk closed. When Salcido did a great job, told them, move the fucking wall open himself because security wouldn't do it. Multiple things happened that day. Right when Salcido, the officer, left, the Scientology security guard moves the shit back. The same day, I was walking up, there's a Scientology kid, an 8-year-old child, like my age when I was in the slave organization, cussing, saying the most insane profanity words at me as I was walking up with a sign that literally lays out what the scam is that Scientology is. This kid is a son of one of the fucking Sea Org members in there who has told the kid, okay, I know this because I was a child doing this. This kid starts slandering, saying so much profanity crap, things I didn't say, being raised in a cult that was, every other word was a swear word. This child is swearing at me. Security sees this whole thing going on, Scientology security guards. They see everything, they don't do anything. It escalates, the kid comes out and his other little friend threw a small pumpkin at me. This is fucking insane. This isn't just a kid, okay? I literally have a folder. One of your off-duty police officers slams his body when I catch the Scientologist filming and street closure at 5 a.m. I'm allowed to protest anytime I want. I don't need your off-police duty officers fucking threatening me with a taser gun and slamming his psychotic body on me. Another thing is there's Scientology members who have assaulted multiple protesters, including this guy. This guy assaulted streets not even fucking few months ago. A year ago, this guy slammed his body and his face on me. This is in the last year, 5 Scientologists themselves have all gotten away, including the kid and his parent, have all gotten away with assaulting protesters. Ex-Scientologists, ex-kids. And what do the police do? Nothing. The only time that something has ever been done was this last time when the officer came, he moved the wall. What happened? He leaves, they move the fucking wall back. How is this okay? When are you guys gonna stop being afraid of letting go of your connection? Every single time there's an issue and the LAPD is involved.
Thank you. The next speaker is Serge Gilmar.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Serge Mar. Last time I was here, I read evidence from your own LAPD files, a Scientology grandmother who brazenly admitted she was criminally complicit in hiding rapes against her underage grandchild and covering up for her son-in-law, looking at child pornography websites accessed through the servers of her own Scientology-run company. This self-incriminating written admission is in your files, fully indexed and validated with metadata. I was trafficked as a minor inside the Scientology hotels. I was not only repeatedly raped, but also groomed starting at the age of 12, forced to audit self-admitted adult pedophiles. On June 1st, 2024, outside the Blue Building, my disabled husband, a senior citizen recovering from hip surgery, exercised his First Amendment right. He said 5 words to Sergeant Lobo. Remember, we're here for the kids. Lobo stopped, thought about it, then physically assaulted him. 2 of Lobo's own officers had to pull him off of him. Multiple cameras captured everything from different angles, proving without a shred of a doubt that my husband's hands never touched Lobo. Lobo subsequently manufactured a felony. My husband punched him in the face, a lie that carries years in prison. My husband was jailed without a bond, released from this unlawful false imprisonment only days later. No charges because there was no crime except for Sergeant Lobo's physical criminal assault. No longer after that, the city attorney escalated threatening charges. One lawyer phone call ended it because she had nothing. My husband lives in chronic pain now because your officer attacked him for exercising his First Amendment right. LAPD investigation found nothing wrong. So let me be clear. You have admissions of Scientology self-incrimination, covering up child pornography and child rape, sitting in your own files, and you do nothing. My husband speaks up for those children currently at risk, and Sergeant Lobo assaults him, then plays victim. Sergeant Lobo is now a proud active protector of self-admitted child rapists and child porn watchers. So let's be actually clear. Why is the LAPD acting as Scientology's illegal fair game enforcement arm? Is a convicted felon L. Ron Hubbard what the LAPD considers an American-bred god? Which one of you watched those videos in your officer attacking a disabled citizen and approved the crime go unpunishment? What does it take for you to hold someone self-admitted child rapists and child porn watchers and their enablers fully accountable? Or is the answer that you won't because you're in fact complicit? Los Angeles will see the evidence and will see exactly what you're enabling to be covered up. Yet we are still here for the kids. No more kids in Scientology because for the 10th billion time, kids cannot consent.
The next speaker, Michael Habicht.
Good morning, officers and board members and Inspector General. My name is Michael Havoc. I'm here regarding the complaint form 2400464, which involves misconduct by Sergeant Juan Lobo. On April 24th, 2024, I was privately invited to meet with Assistant Inspector General Florence Yu to discuss concerns about corruptions and improper influence involving Scientology and their relationship with Los Angeles Police Department. Little did I know, a few months later on June 1st, 24, I was there, and just as my husband just stated, I walked up during a protest. Lobo was on my right side, and I said, "Remember, we're here for the kids." He paused, and within a second, he attacked me. It took 2 officers to get him off of me. He said, "Get the fuck out of my way. Get the fuck out of my way, you fucking asshole." I have it all on tape. I have it all on video. Yet, I get a letter back after doing all the due diligence and doing the right paperwork. "Oh, your concerns are unfounded, sir. They're unfounded." Another form letter did I get once again. Following the last time I was here, you guys had 2 officers meet me outside, gave me a sergeant who's going to do the investigation on Sergeant Lobo. She's the one who sent the letter unfounded. So then I wrote a letter to the OIG office. I get another rubber stamped letter, which to my amazement was from the lady I was in a meeting with privately to discuss the exact thing going on with Scientology and LAPD's relationship. Did she even see my name on that document that she wrote me? No. Another rubber stamp. So I am here to employ you, Mr. Berrigan, to personally visit with me with your integrity to make sure your team that you were voted in for to oversees my case with nothing but integrity and do your job. I'm tired of you guys wasting my time. I'm not here to waste your time, but do your job. Do you take that?
The next speaker, please. Jamie.
Hi, Teresa. Hi, somehow, for the first time, since you acceded to your throne as the president of this shit show, this is the first time you have deigned to allow me, one of the citizens whose voices you claim to represent, to address you. It is so absurd that this is the first chance I've gotten to discuss the 2024 Use of Force Year-End Review you heard back in September. The 2024 Use of Force Year-End Review was an alleged list of all the times LAPD acted violently last year. First of all, we know that it's not a comprehensive list of all the times LAPD acted violently, because at least 2 of our Skid Row community members were tased last year, and these incidents are not included in the report. Just further proof that LAPD will conceal everything they possibly can. This glossy document is full of airbrushed headshots and slimy ChatGPT authored assurances about community respect. But even your carefully massaged numbers can't lie. Over and over, throughout these sets of so-called data, Black and brown folks comprise the majority or plurality of people deemed suspects. You can't elide the fact that the purpose of policing in LA is to enact racial terror, and the presentation of these acts of violence as numbers is a pathetic and obvious act of concealment. You are attempting to reduce the murders of Andre Jones and Jeremy Flores and Linda Becerra-Moran to abstract percentages. Andre and Linda and Jeremy were not percentages. As you just heard from this grieving fucking family, they were human beings who lived, who loved, who were loved until you stole them from us. How dare you slander them and their communities into your clumsily laundered data sets? And Teresa, how dare you cower behind that desk, mumbling anywhere but into your mic, performing this half-assed political theater that seeks to present state violence not as violence, but as natural, normal, inevitable, and necessary. The blood that these pigs spill, the terror they inflict, even when they don't discharge their weapons, is authorized by you, and nothing about it is normal. It is inhumane and evil, and so are you, Teresa. And as fucking enraging as it is to prepare public comment for this meeting week after week, show up at 9:30, take time off work, stand in this clusterfuck of a room swarmed with deadly pigs, and do all that, not even get the chance to speak, it actually gives me hope, because when you do everything you can to silence the voices of the citizens you claim to represent, it is an indication that you are scared. You are too afraid to withstand 46 minutes of facts, testimony, rage, and grief. And the extent to which you are disturbed by the truth you have to hear from this podium lets me know that our disruptive, dissenting presence at these meetings is an effective protest. And this vile system and your reign of terror, Teresa, is not long for this earth. Fuck the police.
The next speaker, Andrew G.
First to submit cards, like 10th to speak. Really impressive, Teresa. So the chief's report should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Since the chief took 8 minutes today, everyone should be allocated 8 minutes to speak. And regardless of how long we get to speak, how long the chief takes, all that stuff, everyone should be able to speak. I mean, you claim you don't have time to take more than 45 minutes of comment, and then you take, 15, 20 minutes of recess to run from the public every day. So clearly you do have time, and you're just choosing to not hear from everyone, because you're intentionally, we're out of time. All right, let's take a 10-minute recess. Let's come back. Oh, we're still disrupting. Let's take another 20-minute recess. It's like, it doesn't even make sense. You claim you don't have time to hear from everyone, but you have time for like a half hour of recesses after public comment. So it doesn't even make any sense. You're such a disgrace running this meeting, yelling at parents for taking care of their kids. Because, maybe you should try holding this meeting in a more accessible time, and maybe have more accommodations for families, things like that. But no, you do it at 9:30 a.m. on a Tuesday when everyone's at work or school, and surround the room with cops, and don't even pay attention. You just have, you weren't even taking that family seriously at all. Just, oh, we're sorry, I guess. We're also going to rule the shooting in policy like we do every other single shooting. This department won't even let people watch a sports game at a bar. The LAPD they just went in, people were watching the game at a bar. And the LAPD was like, oh no, we gotta pull out the less lethals. We gotta pull out the horses. Why the hell do you need horses at all? What's the purpose of that? Why do you need horses in any context? There's absolutely no reason to force the horses who look scared in the video. They clearly do not want to be used for this. They are being harmed by this department, so that they can, and being forced to commit acts of violence against protesters, against press, against people just existing out on the street. Meanwhile, this department assists ICE repeatedly, and Jim McDonald, who's apparently too scared to show up today, keeps lying and claiming they aren't. You've literally got on your agenda today, you've got more money so that the LAPD can go party with ICE. ICE participates in the Baker to Vegas events you have an agenda item on today. So LAPD is going to party with ICE, and you say nothing.
Megan.
That story we heard today was so sad, and it was so standard. I've been coming to these meetings for 3 years now, ever since you started holding them in person, and we've just heard it over and over and over and over again. How many stories do we all know like that? If I heard correctly, that young man was struggling with mental health issues. Just one area where the absolute ineptitude and cruelty of LAPD is on full display. Its response to people in mental health crisis. The citizens of LA do not want mental health crisis calls routed through LAPD because you kill them. You kill them. I've seen it over and over again with my own eyes. Have you watched any critical incident videos yet, Jeff? Have you watched the video of this fine institution scaring, hunting, and shooting Earl Collier when he was found wandering down a street a mile from here, obviously experiencing mental health struggles? When you hear that story from that family today, are you proud of yourself for cheerleading this organization? It's shameful. It's disgusting. LAPD has no business responding to mental health crisis calls, and LAPD has no fucking business maintaining a war chest of guns and drones and explosives and helicopters and horses. You are an armed enemy. You have declared war on the poor, working, and increasingly the middle class of this city. You've declared war on Angelenos. This institution literally takes money away from life-saving programs like healthcare and jobs and mental health treatment, and you put it into murder, domination, and colonization. It is a death cult. You have all accepted that as the way that it is because you all profit from it, all of you. But eventually people are gonna realize there is way more of us than there are of you. And they are waking up to it. Jeff Scobin, the qualifications that are listed in your bio for why you were elected to this commission is literally your cozy personal and business relationship with LAPD that goes back decades and was handed down to you from your father. You are oppositely qualified to be on a police accountability commission if such a thing wasn't a fucking oxymoron in the first place. You simply also don't have the spine. You started your first meeting with, honestly, what's one of the toughest questions that they're gonna hear all year. That's one of the toughest questions that they're gonna hear all year. And what did he tell you to do? Be quiet, Jeffy. Be quiet. We'll talk about that offline. And you just rolled right over and showed your little belly, didn't you? Did you all hug it out back there? Did ya? I'm guessing this huge show today, all these questions, y'all being critical, is a result of what happened.
Thank you.
You told your fascist ass is a little too hard, didn't you? So you had to do a little performance about how you're providing accountability. Fuck you guys.
Our next speaker is Audit LA.
Thank you, and good morning. I am going to ask that you please release the family. They just want their phones back so they can move on. Please do that, and then please also open up and help my friend Michael here, who, we're fighting a cult that sadly you've been entangled with them for so many decades. And we're here to untangle that because there's just too many victims. I don't know if you've read the book. You're going to be getting one to the new commissioner, of just one book of one person that's been through it here in LA. And there's so many more. They come and they tell their stories, and there's thousands others who are still working on telling their stories. It's serious. Like, I just recently found out that Scientology's film studio is one of your, where you guys can film and use it, where you don't even have to get a Film LA permit because it's, I guess, I don't know the terminology, but where you can just use it. I hope to God that you're not filming anything with them. There's too many victims. We've been coming and begging for a safe space for victims to come. It is starting to happen, okay? People are coming. But you can't go betray and then go and make films because it's an easy access to a studio. And like what Laura was saying at the Halloween event, not only did they prevent the sidewalk, even though they've been told by the city attorney that they are not allowed to do that, You know, the police did come, and I appreciate the officer. He did open it up. And, you know, but then they did close it, and Laura was assaulted. And their own security guard told the kids to go into the building to you know, like obstructing justice. She had a right to, because the officer was willing to make a report. And that may be that only kid's chance at getting help, because they're not allowed the psychiatry or psychology or anything. And I've seen this kid before. He has serious anger issues, and he thinks he's an adult. He yells, screams, "I'm not a child," and he is. He's a little kid. But he doesn't understand that he's a kid because he's told he's an adult in a small body. But this kid needs help. I don't think the kid, he doesn't need jail, but he needs help, and he's not going to get it from there. But when their guards are obstructing justice, and then you're putting them on their CPABs, you know, and then they're blocking First Amendment rights of people, and you have them on your CPABs, it's just ridiculous. I don't get it. And how often do we have to come? What do we have to do? Can we have another meeting or something where you finally just say, okay, we are removing Janet Whelan from CPAB. We're going to, because there's not one permitted event, not one, where they have ever honored it. No fire lane access, which they're required. And I'm going to be passing out, because they also are required, because they have to show that if they're recruiting, that they have to have a permit by you. And they turned down a small child because his mom didn't want to sign up for their emails or whatever. A little kid on Halloween didn't get to get candy because the mom
The
refused.
next speaker, please.
Thank you.
William Good.
Good morning. So I come here today. My mom had a stroke about a week ago. And it's hard to take time away from her to come here. I asked my mother, is it okay if I come? And she said, you know, William, this is important to you. It's important to you, please go. And I'm here. They're here too, because it's important to them. Everybody's going through some shit. I'm going through some stuff. The guy that was here earlier is going through worse stuff than I am. And for all I know, people in the crowd are going through worse things than me. But they still made a way to come down here, whether it's taking off time from work, whether it's finding daycare for their kids, whether it's putting together enough money to get gas money or transportation to come here. They come here because it's important to them. We're offered 45 minutes total, which works out to about 15 minutes per person. In a city of millions of people, it's a very small percentage. That's like one person to speak for every council district. It's not enough. People came here to express themselves. Give them a chance to speak. It's important to them. I don't care if it takes an extra 15, 20 minutes. So what? I have been here since 9 o'clock. I got to tell you right now, I've been here since 8:55, since before the doors opened to this room. If I weren't given a chance to speak after the sacrifices I made today, you would have to call on the fucking SWAT unit, bring in a Bearcat to get me out of here. So once again, let them speak, because I'm going to tell you, Teresa, I've been to your house already last week. We'll start holding public comment at your fucking house. And trust me, we will get numbers there. Do you want that? I suggest that you get over your ego and your power trip. Show some respect to the people in this room. Once again, you guys shot a journalist this weekend. I watched it happen. And you shot her in the back of the leg, so her back was facing you. She was no threat. I was saying it right before the cop shot. Hey, there's no weapon. There's no threat. And he fucking shot her anyway. And as usual with the Metro cops, he removed his name from his helmet. He had no way to identify him. I have it in 4K. I can't figure out who the fuck it is, because that's what all the Metro cops do. They make it impossible to figure out who it is so we can warn the community about what they're doing. Why are we still shooting journalists? It's not just journalists. You're shooting people to move the crowd. Not just journalists, everybody. But you're targeting journalists on purpose. They had a big vest on that said press, and you shot her. This is with violation of 409.7, a violation of the restraining order, a violation of the injunction. And then Jim McDonald last week had said that he wants to remove the injunction so they can have other options to use rather than use lethal force against journalists. Use lethal force against journalists? How fucking sick are you? Give that family back their phones.
Thank you. And we have reached the 45-minute allotted time for public comment, Madam President.
Are you we're coming to your house, Teresa.
You are paid to be here. It is your job to listen.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. This concludes the public comment. The commission will now take a 10-minute recess. Okay, we're back on the record. We're moving on to consent agenda items.
Okay, we have agenda items 4A through G.
Excuse me, Madam Secretary. Excuse me. Excuse me. This is your first and last warning. You are being disruptive. If you do not stop immediately, you will be removed. Okay, I'm going to have to remove you. You're going to have to be removed. I'm sorry. Madam Secretary?
Okay, we have agenda items 4A through G. Commissioner Shields, would you like to pull any items to be heard?
I'd like B pulled, please.
Okay, B. Commissioner Garcia?
And Madam Secretary, can you please,
Okay, excuse me. Excuse me. You are being disruptive. This is your first and last warning. Please sit down. All right, you will need to be removed.
Children, mothers, fathers displaced and now forcibly starved. That's what JEF stands for. Oversight. How can someone who believes in genocide provide oversight for the most murderous body in the city?
Madam Secretary?
Okay, Commissioner Shields, would you like to hold any other items?
Just B, please.
B. Commissioner Garcia?
None, thank you.
Commissioner Scobin?
Here with two children, a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old, and you're not going to allow me to speak? Why am I not allowed to speak and give public comment? You already make meetings on Tuesdays at 9:30 a.m., which is not good for a parent like me. And then, on top of that, you don't allow me to speak. You don't allow others to speak. How many different times have we come down here and you haven't allowed people to speak? Vivian, what do you say?
All right, you're being disruptive. This is your first warning. Well, then you're going to have to leave. If you don't stop, you're going to have to leave.
You're going to cancel next week's meeting, right? Again, I came here with a 3-year-old and a 3-month-old. Two children, and I'm not allowed to speak. Make that make sense, Teresa. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Tell me why. Why do you not allow people to give comment here?
You have not stopped. You are going to be removed.
Am I going to be removed? Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Again, what sacrifices are y'all making for the people? None. All you make are sacrifices for the pigs. No questions about that video of Jerry Estrada getting murdered by your pigs, huh? The 2 northbound lanes on Figueroa were open, yet your pigs were in the center median. And somehow hit Jerry, speeding as a carnival was going on at that park, a park that I frequent. And you murdered him. And when your pigs got out of the car, people said, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" What did they say? Just relax. The people in the public, just relax.
All right, let's proceed, Madam Secretary.
Just relax. That's what they said. Your
Commissioner Scobin, would you like to hold any items?
75 seconds.
Just be.
Anybody A.
Just be, okay. Commissioner Sanchez Gordon, would you like to hold any items
75
other than B?
you hit it. Repeat that, please.
Would you like to hold any items other than B?
Hey, what's up, kids? I think this is my fourth or fifth time coming to this building to talk.
Okay.
Only B, please.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve agenda items A through G minus B?
A motion to approve as stated.
Okay, Commissioner Garcia has moved. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We will now hear agenda item B.
Sir with a mask. Sir with a mask, standing up. This is your first warning. Please be seated.
By an occupying army in this city, and it will not be accepted by the people. And your continuation of this process.
Sir, you are being disruptive. I am going to have to remove you from the meeting.
To be the voice of the people who are not able to come to this 9:30 a.m. meeting at LAPD headquarters. Yeah, get fucked. Oh, is that a fucking Blue Lives Matter? I thought that was prohibited. That's against policy. That's against policy. Hey, this guy's violating policy. Good thing.
Madam Secretary?
We have Police Administrator Unzicker on Zoom to take any questions.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Excuse me, the lady who is reading from her phone with a black mask and a black t-shirt is being disruptive. This is your first warning. I am asking you to please be quiet. You will be removed.
Officer Robert Kane and a 15-year-old youth cadet appear to have been entirely within policy. Fuck you all! Fuck you! Fuck you, Teresa! Don't touch me.
Madam Secretary?
We have Police Administrator Unzicker over Zoom.
Good morning.
Officers walked a naked complainant around a public park on a leash, gave alcohol and marijuana to underage people, and then sexually assaulted.
This is your first actually, this is your second warning.
I didn't get a warning earlier. I don't know who you're talking about. A fixed tracking device to
You are to sit down, please, and be quiet.
stored evidence that falsified reports, called people racial slurs, and your club inappropriately touched a dead person's body. That's not the first time that's happened, and it won't be the last as long as you guys exist.
I know.
These are not rare incidents. There's an everyday occurrence.
All right, you're being disruptive, and I'm going to have to ask that you be removed.
Sometimes removal means just reassignment. This is what you call accountability. This is what you prove and rubber stamp. You cannot report this because this is policing. Drunk driving, domestic violence, sexual coercion, falsified evidence. These aren't deviations from the system. They are domestic control.
Madam Secretary?
Wait. So we are here every Tuesday morning, and you know that this is going to happen.
Mr. Khan? Mr. Khan, you are being disruptive. This is a first warning.
You don't want to hear some. We were here to speak about Accenture. We were here to speak about.
I'm going to ask you to please be quiet so we can proceed.
We were going to speak about Arthur Anderson. We were going to speak about the Enron scandal and Anderson Consulting that is so tied in. We're going to speak about the biometrics of U.S. visit, which is being used now by.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to have to ask that you be removed.
Our project. We were going to talk about the biometric collections that these people have been doing. We were going to talk about all of that. But you don't want to hear that because this is supposed to be a people's space to listen to us. And we were gonna give you information that we have always been doing. But you don't wanna hear that. Because we were gonna out fucking Accenture that has been collecting US visits. They are responsible for the massive.
Okay, Madam Secretary, please proceed.
We have item B on the floor. We have Police Administrator Unzicker ready to take questions.
Teresa, I'm coming to your house.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Mark my fucking words. Fuck all of you.
Madam Secretary, could you please repeat that?
We have item B, 4B on the floor. We have Police Administrator Unzicker on the line to take any questions. She's over Zoom.
Any questions?
I had a couple questions.
Commissioner Shields?
Thank you. Can you provide a little bit more insight? The Human Resources and Payroll System Workday, was that a citywide program or was that something selected by the LAPD?
Yes, Commissioner, just confirming, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, this is a citywide rollout of a program. It replaces a legacy system called Pacer that had been in place since around 2000. So yes, this has been a citywide rollout, including to proprietary departments and DWP.
Thank you. And it sounds like there's still a lot of ongoing problems and challenges, and obviously we want to make sure that our sworn and civilian employees are paid appropriately and timely. And I had heard that there were some prior hiccups where, officers and civilians were not getting their proper pay on time. So we want to make sure that's fixed. But can you talk a little bit about, this seems like a pretty hefty contract. What exactly will this expert be doing? And do we think that we need him for the entire time? And can you just talk a little bit about what the nature of the complications have been as we transition to this citywide program?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So I think part of the complication has been simply the LAPD's payroll operations. We're talking about the sheer size. Of course, we have over 12,000 sworn and civilian employees. And part of the challenge is that we have unique overtime calculations. We have unusual shift patterns. We have a number of FLSA and MOU compliance requirements. So there's still some significant challenges that remain unresolved. Now, some of these may be even better resolved within the next year or so. There are some aspects of Workday for which LAPD is not fully licensed. However, as we await additional refinements to the Workday system, Prabhajit is the individual whose contract you have before you. He's been instrumental in addressing some of our critical issues and helping us maintain our payroll accuracy throughout the post-go live period, which was June of 2024. He's been helping us with vacation accrual calculation errors. He's been working on base bonus stacking configuration errors. He helps us with sick bank hours management. We also have some challenges processing IOD. He's also assisted us, and this is critically important now, with compliance with the FLSA 171-hour rule, which states that hours over 171 are to be paid out in cash. This has been a challenge to track within our current Workday configuration. We are actually working now with not only Workday, but also with the entire Human Resources Payroll overseeing team, which includes the controller and ITA. We're working on that because getting the correct 171-hour rule information to communicate with the new voluntary overtime bank that's been introduced is something that we need to have confidence in. So we have the entire team, for which LAPD has 2 testers who can assist. One is an individual I have on staff, and the other is Prabhajit, whose contract is before you. So he is assisting us with many different types of technical issue resolutions. He helps optimize the system, and he's also there for knowledge transfer as well, as we continue on after having launched Workday, we will need to have knowledge transfers to the HRP team, to our staff. And so he's been instrumental in all these areas.
Thank you very much. That's a really helpful summary. Do we know whether like the fire department has kind of similar challenges, or because I imagine they have similar types of overtime and different, pay allowances?
Yes, you are correct. So the fire department does have similar challenges. Our challenges for both LAPD and fire before us have been discussed as part of the Personnel and Hiring Committee that's part of City Council. In fact, I'll be representing LAPD. I know fire will be there tomorrow during, I believe, a special Personnel and Hiring Committee meeting where we'll be discussing some of the issues. Some of them are workday limitations. Others are the fact that we have third-party integrations. I believe in the case of fire, that's NSS. That's their equivalent of our DPS, which is our deployment management system that feeds into Workday. So part of what we are doing, and part of what CROB is assisting us with, is figuring out how to troubleshoot these problems, how to deal with perhaps temporarily having these as third-party options, and looking forward to the future where we might integrate these into a single system.
Thank you. And hopefully as a city, we're thinking about like synergies between whatever we learn on our end, we're sharing that with the fire department and vice versa, so that not both departments are incurring the same amount of expense independently of each other. And do you anticipate, the contract looks like it's for a 5-month period, and anticipating that it's a full-time assignment of 40 hours per week? Do you think that all of the remaining issues would require that length of time and attention?
They may through the end of the contract, and I also believe that we have a potential extension of up to 2 years on this contract. As I mentioned before, there's a possibility that DPS, OLOTS, which is the way we calculate overtime and feed that information into Workday, we need to take a look and balance out the potential impact of keeping those systems versus integrating all of the information into one system. Fire is a step ahead of us. They're going through a process of identifying vendors who might be able to provide that one-stop shop. I've sat in on some of those presentations. We are sharing information with the fire department. They're sharing information with us. And so we are coming together to work on those problems. While we're doing that, and because the integration and bringing other assets on board may take some time, it's potentially going to be part of our 26-27 budget request. We may need additional assistance to help us with the configurations that would need to complement what we already have in Workday to make sure that we're getting our deployment system and our overtime issues addressed.
Thank you so much. You've really answered a lot of my questions, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Garcia,
Not on this item, thank you.
any questions?
Yes, thank you for that. You answered some of my questions. I understood from your comments that while you expect all the outstanding issues to be completed within the 5-month extension, there is written into the agreement the option at the chief's discretion to extend for an additional 2 years. My question goes is, if that extension is exercised, at what rate would it be exercised at, dollar-wise? Do we know?
I cannot confirm until we extend the contract, but I would expect that it would be at the same rate as we previously paid.
The rate that's associated with this 5-month extension?
That's correct.
And I guess a follow-up is, who negotiates that? And typically, in my experience, the longer the term, the better the rate should be. So, there should be an opportunity there to maybe get some flexibility on that rate.
Understood. So when we originally drafted this contract, we were not anticipating the possibility of needing to bring in the current third-party applications that we have for both DPS and OLOTS. that means that we weren't necessarily anticipating a clear need to maintain a consultant beyond June 30th. I think at this point, it's time for us to look at the possibility of needing to have a consultant over the next year or so when we're setting up new configurations for replacement for DPS and OLOTs.
Thank you.
The recommended board action is to approve the department's report and transmit to the mayor's office. Do we have someone to move the motion?
Yes, there is a motion to approve and move this forward to the mayor's office.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Unzicker.
Thank you, and thank you, commissioners.
Now we have agenda item 5A, Department's report relative to the 2025 Palisades Fire After Action Report, and we have Assistant Chief from Kunis.
All right, so good morning, Commissioners, President Gordon, Inspector General Barragan, Chief Choi, Executive Director Sibley, City Attorney Galigari. Good morning. Today with me, I am Mike Kunis, the Director of the Office of Special Operations. I've brought with me Lieutenant Matt Jacobs. Matt Jacobs is the author of the After Action Report. He worked in conjunction with our major events group that is under the Office of Special Operations. So I have to commend Lieutenant Matt Jacobs, who was the one that compiled all the data and aggressively looked at all of the information to complete a report in such a short time frame. Obviously, we were dealing with fires from January 7th through February, and then the incident is still ongoing as we speak today regarding patrols and support that we're providing in the Palisades community. Before I begin, I want to first acknowledge that throughout every phase of this incident, from planning and evacuation to traffic management to security and repopulation, members of this department, both sworn and civilian, demonstrated exemplary commitment to duty. Many worked long hours without rest. Some continued serving even as they learned their own homes had been lost to the fires. To every member of the Los Angeles Police Department who served during those 29 days, your dedication reflected the very best of public service. And to our community partners, the residents, businesses, and organizations who offered words of encouragement, offers of assistance, and even food, your words and actions really mattered. You remind us that we do this work not alone, but together as one community. It is also important to note that the Palisades fire was a fire-led incident. The Los Angeles Fire Department, along with Los Angeles County Fire, CAL FIRE, and other partners in the Unified Command, carried the principal responsibility for fighting the fire and saving lives. The Los Angeles Police Department's role was to support that mission, to create the conditions that allowed the work to proceed safely and efficiently. And I'm so proud that in the supporting role, our department demonstrated extraordinary professionalism, courage, and unity of purpose. The response to the Palisades fire began even before the first flame was reported. On January 6th, the National Weather Service issued a red flag warning and predicted destructive winds up to 100 miles per hour. The department participated in that citywide coordination call. Recognizing the danger these conditions pose, particularly in the Santa Monica Mountains and Palisades area, the department began early planning for positioning of resources. When the fire ignited the next morning in the Palisades Highlands, the department was already postured to act. As soon as fire trucks were seen responding, West Los Angeles area police officers self-initiated evacuations to assist firefighters. Within an hour, a citywide attack alert was declared to activate resources, as many resources as possible. An incredible note, the attack alert would ultimately last 29 days, allowing the department to mobilize hundreds of officers daily to support the incident. At the height of the incident, more than 700 department personnel were assigned to the mission each day. As the fire spread and evacuations expanded dramatically, the department's incident management teams activated and worked side by side with fire to identify priority zones, redeploy resources, and establish clear command and control. Throughout this crisis, over 60,000 people were safely evacuated from the city of Los Angeles. At the same time, the department undertook one of the largest and most complex traffic control operations in its history. Evacuation routes such as Sunset Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway quickly became gridlocked, blocking both civilian escape and firefighter access. Working in coordination with the fire department, the California Highway Patrol, and our city transportation partners, LAPD officers established and maintained dozens of critical traffic control points. Motor officers, patrol units, and field supervisors operated continuously to manage the flow of traffic, clear stalled vehicles, and direct evacuees towards safety. Despite hazardous conditions and limited visibility, our officers successfully kept key arteries open for emergency responders, a logistical success that was essential to the broader firefighting effort. After securing the safe evacuation of residents and ensuring streets were open for firefighting efforts, the department's next mission was to protect those communities from opportunistic crime. Through a coordinated crime suppression details, the LAPD deployed dedicated patrols to every major evacuated neighborhood, operating around the clock to deter burglary, looting, and unauthorized entry. The department made 19 arrests for those who sought to take advantage of this disaster. The department also coordinated with the California National Guard, who provided perimeter support and visibility at fixed posts and checkpoints. As containment improved and the Unified Command began lifting evacuation orders, our focus shifted once more, this time to repopulation and recovery. The department helped organize and manage the controlled reentry of thousands of residents into neighborhoods such as the Palisades, Highlands, Brentwood, and portions of West Valley area. At locations such as Will Rogers State Beach and Santa Monica's Lot 3, our personnel worked with Fire, California Office of Emergency Services, and the California Highway Patrol to verify residency, issue entry passes, and provided escorted access through still dangerous zones. Even as the fire cooled, the department continued to staff traffic checkpoints, crime suppression patrols, and verification stations to ensure a safe and orderly transition back to normalcy. On February 4th, 2025, after nearly a month of continuous operations, the tactical alert was finally rescinded and the department returned to regular deployment. The Palisades fire was a defining moment, one that tested every aspect of our emergency response system. It also revealed unmistakably the strength of coordination between agencies, the courage of our personnel, and the resiliency of our city. While we remain deeply proud of what was achieved, we continue to learn from the experience and refine our systems. To tell you about the lessons learned and recommendations we are working to adopt to be even more ready for the next future disaster, I have Lieutenant Mac Jacobs with me to go over those self-critiques. Lieutenant Jacobs.
Good morning, Good morning, Commission. After a critical incident, one of the primary functions of an after-action report is to identify challenges, best practices, and areas for improvement. Through an analysis of incident records and interviews with the incident management teams and other subject matters from our department, the following 10 topics were identified in the critique section. On communication, infrastructure, and technology, the Palisades' unique topography, and coupled with the destruction of radio towers and repeaters, proved extremely challenging for the department to communicate over our land mobile radios. Additionally, the lack of interoperability with our mutual aid partners hampered our coordinated efforts. The report recommends that the department invest in improved infrastructure and the ability to share radio channels with mutual aid agencies. On initial coordination with the LAFD, the report found that in the initial coordination on the initial days, there was area for improvement between LAFD and LAPD. The report recommends that the department continue to emphasize the incident command system and provide training for its senior leaders, and also suggests that we continue to participate in more exercise-based training with LAFD counterparts. In speaking with ESD, our Emergency Services Division, these trainings are ongoing, and they had 2 of these types of scenario-based trainings in the month of October. On the topic of documentation, the report found that there were some gaps in critical record keeping during the initial response. In the future, we recommend that the department standardize some of the practices that are utilized by our citywide incident management teams to make them standard practices for special events bureaus department-wide. Furthermore, we found regarding chain of command that during the incident, we had several incident management teams assigned to manage the operation. All incident management teams who were involved in the incident reported that they struggled with outside entities outside of the incident management teams trying to assert influence over the incident. The report recommends that the department continue to emphasize ICS chain of command principles, ICS being Incident Command System, and clearly identify who has the authority to provide direction to the incident commander during major events. Another issue that we faced was zone mapping. The Unified Command Post through CAL FIRE used the Genesis mapping system, which initially was unfamiliar to our incident commanders at the time. This led to confusion when the evacuation zone spread into Brentwood in the valley. Since the fire incident, we have started to provide training on the Genesis zone mapping system, and ESD is working closely with the DOC to ensure that in a future incident where evacuations are needed, that we're using the same mapping systems that LAFD is using and CAL FIRE. Regarding National Guard deployment, when the National Guard first arrived, it was not immediately clear to the incident commander how National Guard troops could be deployed and what roles they could be deployed in. This information is covered in the Mutual Aid Briefing Handbook and the Emergency Operations Guide, which is current department policy, and the report recommends further training on that policy. Regarding the IMTs, the report found that the use of citywide incident management teams was generally effective. However, it also identified that the incident management teams need additional support staff and cadres to assist in these major incidents where it takes a lot of cadres from logistics to check-in to admin and finance for us to be successful. In speaking with Major Events Group, they are already in the process of developing these cadres to improve our effectiveness in the future. Regarding logistical support, it was initially reported that LAPD personnel did not have the proper personal protective equipment on those first initial days of the fire. Emergency Service Division immediately responded out and did provide that to incoming officers, but those officers who responded on the first day did not have the necessary equipment with them to keep them safe. Additionally, it became very clear as the incident progressed that the type of equipment, meals, technology, and hygiene stations that are available to the LAPD there was a great contrast between what is available to us and the other agencies. The report recommends that the department identify a funding source to help support the department when we are involved in long deployments. Regarding the PPE gear, during the fire, we had great support from the community. We received a lot of donations, and ESD has taken a large amount of that personal protective gear and distributed it to the 4 geographic bureaus so our officers can have that stuff on hand. On utilization of other agencies, as we moved into the repopulation phase and the Unified Command at Zuma Beach was demobilized, the LAPD became responsible for several tasks that were not specific to law enforcement or public safety. In the future, the report recommends that the LAPD work with other city entities to make sure that those city family agencies who are better prepared to handle some tasks that aren't necessarily public safety related be shared among the city family. Lastly, the report discusses our command post location. The command post was moved 3 times during the incident. However, in discussion, most people agree that that was just the nature of the scenario that we faced. There isn't a best practice to push forward, but several suggestions and topics for future consideration if we find ourselves in a similar disaster with smoke and extremely high winds. In closing, as Chief Rimkunis has already stated, this Palisades fire was a catastrophic incident that caused unprecedented damage to our city. While the LAPD was cast in a supporting role of fire, it's important that we use this experience to improve our ability to protect and serve our city in future disaster scenarios. That said, I cannot leave here today without emphasizing the tremendous bravery that was on display by our personnel. As part of the review, I had the opportunity to watch hours and hours of body-worn video and digital in-car video from our response on those first days, and I was in complete awe of the courage our officers, specifically those from West LA who responded immediately showed. Watching those videos filled me with pride in my peers and our organization, and they should be commended for their bravery. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, before we take questions, I do want to recognize all the officers who responded and were involved in this incident for their courage and their initiative during the early stages of the event and for their hard work and commitment to the safety of the community in the days and the weeks and to this date that has followed. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to take questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Shields, any questions?
Yes, so some questions and comments. First, I echo everything the president said. I think the city of Los Angeles owes a debt of gratitude to the Los Angeles Fire Department and the Los Angeles Police Department. I don't think people really understand the amount of effort that the police department played in here because it was a fire-led, event. And having gone to the command post and seeing the amount of work that you all were putting in is just really, makes us very proud of the department and the collaboration with all the partnering agencies and the fire and everything. It was just, it seemed at least very seamless, but I really do appreciate the fact that, the motto of, quality through continuous improvement is what leads you to draft these types of after-action reports, which isn't common with every department, right? And Lieutenant Jacobs, I'll say this is one of the best reports I've seen, so very kudos to you. And I hope that, in the hours of, body cam footage that you're watching of the bravery of the officers, that people take time to actually write out commendations. I think these officers should know that they are recognized. And also all of the, Operations West Bureau incident commanders who were kind of working around the clock, and all the incident commanders, regardless of when I would go to the command post, I'd see some of the same people over and over and over again. It was just, it must have, and to know that there was, a tactical alert for 29 days, that's a strain not only on the people working the fires, but also everyone else responding to every other part of what the city needs, because those city needs didn't stop. And so just, truly, commend all of the efforts of everyone involved, and reading the report, identifying and seeing, supervisors who made tough decisions, but they did so promoting the, and prioritizing the preservation of life. So I think they all should be very much commended for this, while also having to respond to all the crime that was occurring both inside and outside the evacuation zones by people who are, taking advantage of the devastation and really unprecedented nature of this. Again, I really can't commend you all enough about this, and really appreciate the recommendations that you've identified. I had a couple of, kind of questions, and there is one area that I may ask for some additional information on. You mentioned something about seeing the resources of other departments. Can you talk a little bit about what you saw that you thought maybe our department can benefit from?
Absolutely, Commissioner Shields, and thank you so much for the kind words. So as far as equipment goes, so there were 2 command posts. The report refers to the command post at Zuma Beach that was run by CAL FIRE as the unified command post, and then the command post at Will Rogers as the LAPD command post. So the LAPD command post, while the unified command was activated and CAL FIRE was running the incident, there were food trucks and actual trailers with bathrooms and hand washing stations with running water and everything that our officers would need to get them through a long, tiring shift. Unfortunately, when the unified command post dissolved at Zuma Beach and the incident returned to being primarily LAPD and LAFD led, a lot of those resources slowly started to go away. And eventually, when LAFD left the incident altogether, we were left looking for or relying on donations of granola bars and snacks and things like that for our officers who were left over. And a lot of officers just commented that there was such a stark contrast between the support that some of the other public safety agencies received and what we got when it was just left to the LAPD.
Thank you.
Hey, Commissioner, if I can just add, so I was at the EOC during the course of this, and there was direct conversation with the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety regarding this specific issue. So I know it's not a line item in this budget, but that will be requested, I believe, as we move further into the next budget. And hopefully we can, based on this report and some of the discussions that we had with the mayor's office, that was highly noted and didn't go very well with the mayor's folks.
Wonderful. And yeah, we definitely, especially given the number of hours everyone was working kind of nonstop, that we really want to make sure that they feel that support moving forward. And a couple of the other recommendations that I thought, yeah, again, were very excellent about not having the police do everything, or especially again, because you are an expensive force and there are other parts of the city that could potentially handle, traffic congestion and other types of, monitoring of screening residents and things like that. Is there a action plan for how to move that recommendation forward in terms of like talking to the deputy mayor or others within the city to get their buy-in for the future?
So God forbid we have another one of these incidents, but we relied heavily on the support, like Team Rubicon was mentioned in the report. That's a group of folks that like to come out and support during national disasters. I believe that they're world renowned for supporting disasters. There was a discussion regarding who was actually going to monitor traffic checkpoints because of the security component. And I know working with the Emergency Management Department, along with, and I also have to commend the other city agencies, Port Police, World Airports, folks that rallied up and assisted so LAPD could also deal with the crime aspect along the internal area of Palisades and the outskirts. But looking at, as mentioned in the internal report, it would be who has the ability. I know we used the National Guard when Governor Newsom sent the National Guard to help facilitate and assist. The National Guard was put at various traffic checkpoints. In this case, there were numerous because of the community. It seems like there was a couple ways in and out, but there were so many side streets that would lead to different arteries. It was how many resources was it going to take to control all of the access points. So I believe working with CHP and CHP is still assisting us today. So looking at different entities, from the state and local, I don't know if there's a magic answer to find who would be responsible, because there is the criminal element that infiltrated, during the course on day one of this event. So as we continue to move forward and work with the other agencies, a plan is continually being discussed, but there's nothing specific of which entity should be responsible. Ultimately, West Los Angeles Division staffed it with patrol officers and available units that they had, but it's something in discussion. But because of the totality of this incident, it's not as easy as just identifying an entity that would be ultimately responsible.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss to, if I didn't give my condolences to the officers who've lost their houses and continue to work throughout this, as well as all the citizens and people in our city who had to deal with that devastation. I know the officers were sometimes put in a tough situation of not allowing residents to get back to where they wanted to be, and understandably so people were upset. So I understand that was a challenging time. I also have to give a quick shout out to the Commission Investigation Division, since I did go out with them to go check the whole vehicle impounding process, which just appeared to be just a massive undertaking in and of itself that, again, people take for granted and not being part of the obligations that fell on the department. So one area that I do think that there needs to be potentially some additional detail, and this is because I did receive some information from the Los Angeles Press Pool, or I forget what their title is, the Press Club, about the media access issues. So on page 21, 22, it talks a little bit that there seem to have been some clarifying directions that were given at certain point, like on January 9, about what access the media can have and can't have. And it indicated, and the report indicated that there were no major media access were noted. I've received some information, and I don't know if it's already been shared with the department, that there were several instances of, media being denied access, or at least allegations of that. I don't know whether you're aware of that or if that should be something that, could potentially be supplemented. Because again, this is all in the context of continuous improvement and wanting to make sure we're taking account of everything. Like everything you all had going on, it was a lot. I imagine media only added to the additional complexity of it. But I also want to make sure that we are being as thorough as possible in identifying, when the media thinks that the department is falling short, and how are we addressing that. So I don't know if you have any specific kind of context for the section on the media access, and whether you were aware of any other kind of like complaints that the media had, or whether that can be supplemented with some additional information.
So, in my investigation into the incident, the only time that came up was initially on January 9th, and there was a question from some of our traffic control points, I think, as to whether or not the media was allowed into the evacuation zone. Initially, the Unified Command Post from Zuma Beach, and this is where I don't know if it was specifically LAPD's incident commander or someone from the CAL FIRE overall command. The word initially went out that no, they were not, but that was quickly corrected that same day, and the media was allowed into the evacuation zone. And then from the LAPD command post, we continued to push out that direction on a daily basis to our deployment. So yes, there was an initial challenge where they were not given access, but that was self-rectified quickly, and to my knowledge was not an issue moving forward after January 9th.
I don't know, Chief, if you have, because I
have some clarity. So
Okay.
the reason why there were some parts of the incident management team that felt that press should be denied access is because this whole place was being treated as a crime scene, right? Stopping media from going up to the origin of the fire needed to be investigated. There were still active searches for deceased individuals. All that was still going on, so it's easy to see how there was some confusion on where press could go and couldn't go. It was a large area, but it was, again, like Lieutenant said, it's quickly resolved. They were allowed to go in there. They weren't allowed to go on private lots, obviously, and that's where the decedents were discovered. They weren't allowed to go to the origin of the fire. They were able to film from a distance, but again, that was quickly resolved. But that really was the issue. What's a crime scene and what's just a disaster area?
And there were a couple of other incidents that happened after the 9th. I don't know if you were aware of them, but maybe that's something that potentially I'll forward you some of that information, and maybe this could be a supplement to the report.
I think the issue with the pass distributions became a concern, and talking about identifying who should be doing what roles. Going back to one of your questions is LAPD initially was tasked with creating this pass and finding a place to distribute it, and it's not our role at all. That was after, I would say, a couple weeks, that was resolved, and EMD took over that role at one of the disaster recovery scenes. So it was a challenge initially. It was corrected midway through the incident, and that's how we resolved it, by having the appropriate entity create a pass and then just give those distribute them to the public, and we were just checking the passes.
Thank you. And thank you again, Lieutenant Jacobs. Really great job on this report.
Thank you, Commissioner Shields. We'll move on to any questions from Commissioner Garcia. Any comments?
Yeah, so thank you for the report. Echo a lot of the comments that Commissioner Shields shared regarding the overall effort and the report itself. I do have, a few other acknowledgements. I was bouncing around different places, whether it was the staging area, the emergency response centers, visiting the impacted community resource hubs once they were established, and really saw what we strive to see every day, which is that relationship with law enforcement and the community itself coming together to support each other and to support all the emergency responders. And so thank you for that, and thank you to, again, the officers, especially those who were directly impacted and lost their homes as well. I know some of them were still working and fulfilling their duties and their jobs despite their personal impacting experience with that. So again, thank you to them and to every officer who was out there. In terms of questions, as it relates to the critique points, thank you for sharing those and sharing the recommendations and keeping those or putting them in the report. The first question I have is regarding the chain of command concerns or critiques. Can you share a little bit more about like why that occurred, and is it just such a big emergency that the established changes of commands weren't applicable, or did that just somehow not get established quick enough?
Thank you for the question, sir. So I think there's a lot that goes into this incident. You know, traditionally, a lot of the incidents that we run are run by whoever's geographically in charge, whether it be a division commanding officer or a bureau commanding officer. In this incident, we brought in a citywide incident management team, so it's a team from all over the city to come manage an incident that was, for the most part, located in West LA and West Bureau. So I think that added to some of the challenge. Additionally, as the fire spread out of just the Palisades area and started encroaching upon Encino and the West Valley area, there was miscommunication over who was ultimately responsible for the incident at times. It was eventually rectified, but in the moment when they're trying to deal with a dynamic situation and trying to save lives and trying to get houses evacuated, having to answer the question of who's making the call, whose decision is this, wasted unnecessary time, I would say. Additionally, the department has, our own DOC, the city EOC, and then other command staff who are all in an effort to help and an offer to give guidance, providing direction to the incident commander at different times. And so as reported by the incident commander, there were times when this direction was sometimes conflicting or changed day to day. And so the report simply tries to recommend, through the National Incident Management System, via Incident Command System, there's this concept of senior official or agency organizer, who is the person who gives direction to the incident commander. So in an ideal world, there would be a clear delineation of who the person is giving direction to the on-scene incident commander.
Sir, if I can just add too, so working at the EOC, we have to remember this became a California fire-led incident. So in my history in this organization, that's the first time where government agency has taken over an incident. And so we had reporting, not per se at the incident on scene down at Zuma Beach and at Will Rogers, but even at the Emergency Operations Center, you have a CAL FIRE-led incident with City Fire and then LAPD. And in the course of these natural disasters, LAPD is being guided by fire on where to evac, where are we opening up. So we're being told, in the sense, we're a support entity to the fire lead agency when you're dealing with a fire-led event. So just the complexity of working new with a state agency in the course of being located somewhere, of relaying information. As Lieutenant Jacobs mentioned, you have a division bureau running an incident that transitions, and we're not talking about an easy transition. You have fire that is spreading still, right? You have January 7th, 8th, 9th. It moved for multiple days I read in reports, 300 yards in a minute, destroying things. And so in the course of trying to get a handle of what's happening, there could be some miscommunications of where are we taking orders. Usually we're taking information from LA City Fire on what area do you need evacuated. Let's send people there to do that safely. So in this case, it was lesson learned. I think it's all great points that have been taken out of this report, and then just from talking to various folks that were involved in this. This now is included. I just went through our critical incident training that is led by our emergency management division that incorporates LAFD. They've always been incorporated, but now they're talking about Genesis. They're talking about mapping. They're talking about working with CAL FIRE. So including the training aspect into our training of understanding what all this means, because even the Genesis Protect was a new application for all of us in policing. At least 30 years in LAPD, I don't know what Genesis was until this incident, because I never had to deal with that or never was part of these advancements with how all that affects things and alerts and things like that. So a lot of good lessons learned. I mean, it's a terrible, tragic incident for many, many, many people, but I think the takeaways are extreme, and we've incorporated that. And hopefully, like I said earlier, hopefully we don't have to experience another natural disaster. But I mean, but you never know.
Yeah, thank you. The other questions was really related towards the critique point 8 regarding logistical support. And some of it was already asked, so I won't repeat the questions, but really what I was going to lead into was looking at all the critiques and the recommendations and not just thinking about them in regards to this incident or any emergency incident, but also in regards to the major incidents that are coming to the city of LA and how a lot of these recommendations can be applied to the planning of those incidents and the coordinating around those incidents. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Questions from Commissioner Scobin?
Yes, start with echoing all the incredible sentiments about the department and the heroic efforts played by so many. A couple areas on media. Out of curiosity, in the development of that section, were any outside media associations or groups consulted with the evaluation on media access?
No, sir, they won't. We conducted this report internally based on our own interior documents, and we did not conduct any interviews with people outside of LAPD.
Okay. I don't know if that's, policy or not. I just might suggest that, when we put in a report that there were no major incidents, that may be true through our lens. But to anyone affected, it could be a major incident. And so it may feel dismissive to not, address anything or maybe to look, for external information that might help make that more consistent maybe with what some people felt. The other part I wanted a question on, when I was looking at the report, when I looked at arrests versus the reported crime, and there were 19 arrests in the evacuation zones compared to 90 total crimes reported. When I dig a little deeper, roughly 24 burglary crimes reported and 2 arrests. I'm curious how the department grades that ratio, how they look into that, and if there were any opportunities in that area for improvement moving forward.
I can add. So I don't know that we grade ourselves on the number of arrests. I will tell you on numerous burglary reports, these individuals that resided there, they had left the area. And then 2 weeks later, when they come back, is when they report the burglary. So the suspect is long gone. We didn't even know it happened when it happened. And that's really what you're seeing there.
Okay. And just in general, love the critique section of the report. I think in the spirit of any situation, there's always opportunities to improve. And so I commend you guys on really thinking that through.
Thank you, Commissioner Scobin. I just have a couple of questions, and they may have been answered to some degree, but regarding the LAPD and the LAFD joint training exercises regarding or related to possible weather-driven or catastrophic events, particular to each bureau, has such training already occurred, or is it in the works? Are you planning it? What's the status of that?
Sure, ma'am. So,
And in particular, Chief, if you could incorporate this Genesis program into that.
sure. So on December 10th, but let me just back up. So on December 10th of 24, West Los Angeles area, along with LAFD, conducted training. The whole division conducted training in regards to brush fire response. So that was way before the incident. I was a commander at Operations West Bureau in 2019, and one of the standing practices at a bureau, specifically West Bureau and Valley Bureau, there is ongoing training, quarterly training with the bureaus and the areas that have divisions in which a wildfire could break out. So the training is ongoing. It's been going, like I mentioned, at least from my knowledge, working at West Bureau, working in Mandeville Canyon and some of the problematic areas. But in this particular case, I'll highlight a couple incidents. The training that took place December 10th, 2024, prior to January 7th, is fantastic by West LA. Even so that when West LA Division had information and they were part of a call that took place January 6th, you had two sergeants that conducted extra patrol before 10:23 in the morning on Tuesday morning that actually were looking for going to their problematic areas within the West LA community, Palisades and some of the back streets, that were actually providing extra patrols in the area for anything that would look suspicious that could generate, or people or cars or something that would be odd to them, you know, because of the high winds that were taking place. So the information that was provided by Emergency Management Division, the partnership with LAFD, prior to this incident has always taken place. I think we just were dealt with a 100+ mile an hour winds that just came through in a matter of minutes and seconds that, you know, destroyed a whole community and took 12 lives. But the training aspect has always been there, and I have to commend our bureaus that are specifically in those high fire zones, conduct training regularly in response to Genesis. Like I mentioned earlier, that is part of our now critical incident training that we all go through as command officers regarding the Genesis, the mapping, and that's led by Fire, who actually walks us through and walks our personnel through of what the zones mean and how it works and the alert systems. For me, that was new information. I've never been taught that. There's a Firewatch app that was brought to light too, where you can track it at home too. It's a free app where you can look and see and get notifications regarding fire-related matters in your communities that generate a bunch of notifications. So our training from this incident, I believe, has gotten 10 times better. It's already been really, really good with LAFD and the bureau chiefs and the commands that work in these areas. And I think now, unfortunately, we've enhanced it. You know, to prepare, you know, for another fire-related incident. And I don't know if you want to add anything, Matt, based on your review of documents and training to add to that.
No, Chief, I think you covered it.
Thank you very much, Chief. As to other catastrophic events, you know, we have the West Bureau and the Valley Bureau that, you know, we're focusing on the fire issues. But what about these other catastrophic events that impacts these other bureaus, the two other bureaus? Is there joint training within LAPD and LAFD to handle that?
So one of the mandates with the Office of Operations and along with the IMTs, the incident management teams, because you can have a fire that occurs and then now you have rain. Rain creates floods in different areas. So there's constant training that goes on to all of our employees. Specifically, each bureau is unique and has their own pressing events. Like in South Bureau, you have large events, coliseums, and BMO and soccer, where you have a lot of people congregating for different types of things. But our expectation and what we're getting better at, I believe, is the training of all the folks that work the IMT teams come from all over the city. It's not just specific to one general bureau. We have people that work different areas in the city, whether they're in Office of Operations, Office of Special Operations. They all are part of these trainings, and our mandate, and maybe Chief Choi knows what the numbers are, but there's an expectation that we send our people through to get quarterly training, to get caught up, you know, based on all the different things that have happened, from the unrest in 2020 to what we've just experienced. There's multiple levels of training. That training division and our training support staff, I think, you know, can cover probably more in depth regarding what we put our people through. But in regards to disasters, this is all part of it, and it's not specific just to the two bureaus I mentioned. I just bring up those two bureaus because those are really fire-led that call on, you know, when high winds and things happen. But there's other parts of the bureau of the city that still receive the same training.
Thank you. Lieutenant Jacobs, you talked about the meals, the equipment that were there with LAFD, and then it moved on, and you're like, okay, only health bars are here. What happened to all that other good stuff? Okay, so I want to find out if there's a line, if you have requested in a line item and for more support on that issue, and whether we'll see it in our next budget cycle.
I can tell you that it has previously been requested as a separate line item in our budget, was not supported through the budgeting process, so we didn't get funded for it.
So just energy bars continue? Is that what's going to happen?
Hopefully not. We're fortunate to have a lot of support outside of our budget to sustain us through these protracted events, but it shouldn't be that way. It should be something that we have in a credit card or expense account that we can feed our officers and get them the right supplies that they need.
You know, ma'am, just to add to Chief Choi's, I mean, this has been brought up with the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety too, because obviously this has been requested and it's an issue, and it's something that we as a department are continually looking at. And thank God for our supporters that provide the necessary, you know, resources for our folks that are out there for, you know, multiple days at a time.
Good, thank
I
you.
just wanted to add too, ma'am, sorry, going off of what Chief Rimkunis just said, while we did identify this as a need, and officers did notice the difference between resources with fire and LAPD, I also don't want to overlook the support that we did receive from the community during this time. Because yes, while we did not have the food trucks and some of the more luxurious like hygiene stations, we received a massive outpouring of support in terms of drinks and sunscreen and Tylenol and everything you could think of, all from the community. And the last thing I would want to come across is that we are ungrateful for those donations. So I just want to, again, take this opportunity to make sure that we show our gratitude for that support.
Thank you, Lieutenant. The last question has to do with the patrol vehicle and the equipment with standard kit of natural disaster equipment. Okay, is it anticipated that that will be accomplished?
So, shortly after the fire was stabilized, Emergency Service Division did deliver kits of personal protective gear, including masks, gloves, and goggles, to all 4 geographic bureaus for them to distribute among the different patrol divisions.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Chief, did you want to chime in any way?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay, thank you. Well, we thank you again. And on behalf of all our commissioners, again, we appreciate that heroic effort by all members of the department. And again, thank you.
The recommended board action is to approve the department's report. Do we have a motion?
There is a motion to approve this department's report.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss agenda item 6A1 and 6A2 in accordance with Government Code 54957. The commission has concluded its work in closed session. We're now back in open session. We'll have a report out by the executive director.
Okay, item 6A. At the regular meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners on November 4, 2025, during the closed session, the board made the following findings. So 6A1, which is officer-involved shooting 053-24. For tactics, by a 4-0 vote, the board found a tactical debrief for 2 police officers 2, 4 police officers, 2 police officers 3, 4 police officers 2, and 2 police officers 1. The board, by a 3-1 vote for tactics, made a finding of tactical debrief for 1 police officer 2. For drawing and exhibition of a firearm, by a 4-0 vote, the board made a finding of in policy, no further action for 2 police officers 3, 5 police officers 2, and 2 police officers 1. For lethal use of force, by a 4-0 vote, the board made a finding of in policy, no further action for 1 police officer 3, 4 police officers 2, and 1 police officer 1. And by a 3-1 vote, the board made a finding of in policy, no further action for lethal force for 1 police officer 3 and 1 police officer 1. Moving on to item 6A2, which is a non-tactical unintentional discharge, case number 054-24. By a 4-0 vote, the board made a finding of tactical debrief for tactics for 1 police officer 2, and for unintentional discharge, negligent discharge, administrative disapproval for 1 police officer 2. And that concludes the report out.
With no further items, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
The commission has supplemental readout for OIS 053-24, which will be read out by Executive Director Sibley.
Yeah, so with respect to item 6A1, for the finding of tactical debrief by a 3-1 vote, the one in that case was Commissioner Scobin. And for the lethal use of force finding of in policy, no further action by a 3-1 vote for 1 police officer 3 and 1 police officer 1. The one in that case was Commissioner Shields. And that concludes the update to the readouts.
Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Meeting has ended. Thank you.